And we are live. Welcome to Groundwater Talk Live. This is the Christmas Eve edition of Groundwater Talk Live for December 23rd, 2021. I am Tom Ballard, the Groundwater Guy, and welcome to a fun edition. We decided to change things up a little bit here and get a little fun. We're doing well video extravaganza today, so we're really looking forward to that. And before we get going, just people out there in the audience, drop a comment in the chat. Let us know you're here. Let us know where you're calling in from. And just keep it clean. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas too before we get going here. It is that time of year. Boy, it sneaks up on me every year. So I appreciate you all being here. As we go along here, here's an actual invite to come on the show. And if you'll give me just a minute here, I will drop that in the chat, in the various chats here, so that um, this is the Ecamm Live interview link. So let me just drop it in the various chats here so that if you want to pop on, you are more than welcome to comment on these videos here. And just putting that in the chat. And that is for your reference if you want to pop on. So there you go. So what really happens down there, and that's kind of the subject today. We got 6 well videos here that we're going to look at that provided to us by our buddy Dirk Ackerman, South African borehole well operator or borehole video operator par excellence, and he's provided these clips for us that are they're all a little different and show different things. So I think it should be illustrative of the value of well videos. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a big fan of well videos for diagnostics, and I think that you really get a lot of bang for your buck for doing well videos. And I hope these videos here today will show that. And we really appreciate Dirk for sharing these videos. Here's Dirk's profile information on LinkedIn. If you're not connected with Dirk, well, why not? Because Dirk is really, I mean, he runs a lot of videos. He posts them up on LinkedIn, interesting ones, and so if you're interested at all in well videos and the different variances and in wells and problems he runs into and stuff, then you should be connected with him so you see his feed. So big shout out to Dirk. He's the one that provided all these videos. These are all from South Africa, I believe mainly Free State area where he's out of, and so that's so Dirk's our man. So he's the one that provided these videos. Now, as we dive in, there's going to be a short commentary that's recorded by Dirk. He couldn't be on, obviously, time zone differences, and he's doing some traveling, so he didn't think he could be on today. So he sent me some information on some clip. I captured the audio, and I'm attaching that to the clip. So there's a quick introduction from Dirk telling us what we're looking at, and I know he's a little sensitive about his English, but he talks a heck of a lot better English than some people I've run into in this country. So there's no issues there with me. So he probably talks better English than I would in his language. So that's so we appreciate that, Dirk, and nothing to worry about here. So let's dive into the first video here, and I'll let Dirk explain it. But this probably I think is a really interesting one, something you don't see every day. There's some surprises in here, and I'll let you catch that. Dirk's introduction is pretty short, and then I'll provide some comment in there. And anybody else that's watching that's got any comments, pop them into the chat, and I'll post them up on the screen here. So first one, let's dive in here.
Hi Tom, the first video with the compass was taken near Bloemfontein in the Free State. The driller didn't know why the cuttings wouldn't come out of the hole or blow out of the hole, so he had me come to investigate, and they found out that there's another hole there. There's actually 3 holes within a 1 meter spacing, and nobody knew about the middle one, so they quickly found out when I showed it to them. When I told them at 27 meters there's casing, I see casing on the side view, they all looked at me as if I was mad. You know, they didn't believe me, but well, the end of the video shows exactly what's going on in the end.
And I will comment here that apparently they had this well pumped down. So what you're seeing is where the water came in through a fracture zone. There's an open hole well, and then obviously the water is actually coming up in the well as it's refilling. So it appears to me that they had it pumped down. Then they ran. You can see the water rising. Is pouring in through that fracture, and now it's rising up to its static water level. So I believe they actually had it pumped down, and then they ran the video down right away, and the well was actually recharging at the time they ran the video. So that's what it looks like to me. But let's go down here, and when we get down, these are all in meters. Obviously, we're in South Africa, so but this is an open hole well. Obviously, the water's coming in through that fracture zone you saw earlier, and we're going to go down here, and it gets interesting right down here around 27 meters or so, and then to the bottom of the hole. So, like I say, this is all no casing in here. This is all open borehole. So let's go down here. We're seeing, fairly straight hole, pretty good walls. So you're going to see some variation in the lithologies as we go down. You can see some changes, like right here. It changes up a little bit, and so that's going to be interesting, and we get down into definitely a lithologic change there, and here we're getting a little more staining on the rocks, but we'll get to what's interesting here in just a little bit here. So down around 27 meters, it gets a little interesting and surprising. So Dirk kind of gave it away, but you'll see what this looks like, and it's probably not something you see every day when you're doing a well video in fractured rock. So here we go. He's rotating around. You can see the compass. This kind of orients you, and that'll be important when we get down towards the bottom of the hole too. But whoa, what do we got here? That is casing, and it looks like there's actually a vertical mill slot in there. That is casing from a hole that is right next to this one, and it kind of broke away and exposed the casing. So not something you're going to see every day in a well video. So that probably caught everybody by surprise. But as he indicated, there's definitely 3 holes out here within a meter of each other, so within 3 feet. So I guess he shouldn't be too surprised, but it is kind of like threading the needle on this when you actually see that happening in the well. So like I say, not something you see every day, and I'm sure it caught everybody by surprise. And that was a good call on Dirk's part, saying that's casing down there. So let's go down here. When we get down towards the bottom of the hole, once again, you're seeing changes in lithology and some horizontal fractures in here. I don't know exactly what type of rock types, exactly where he's at, the rock types here, but you can certainly see changes as we go down. So, obviously, if we're interpreting this, we're going to want to have a little more data on things when we go into the well. We want to be prepared. Once again, a lithologic change there, and so So we keep going down here. We got a little more surprise down here towards the end, and so we get down here to the bottom. At about, I think, about 10 more meters to go before we get down here. So just kind of interesting. You can see some of the variation you get in fractured rock wells, and a lot from what I've seen, a lot of what Dirk does is fractured rock wells. So they obviously stand pretty well out here. We'll see some variation in that in some of the other videos we look at here, but and he's stopping and pausing and rotating around and looking at the sidewalls here. This looks like more like a crystalline or a metamorphic rock of some sort. So kind of a quick glance. And down we go. So sometimes looking at well videos can be a little bit boring, but the devil's in the details, as they say, and you gotta pay attention because sometimes things can be kind of subtle, and you got to pay attention to what's going on, and and some of these videos can be an hour long, and there's another change, so it's you got to pay attention and run through these things multiple times actually to pick up some of the details. This one is most of the stuff in here is pretty straightforward, but some of the other ones we'll see, you're probably going to want to pay a little more attention to what's going on here. So we're just about down here, and we'll get our second little surprise here down towards the bottom. And I'm suspecting that this well, or well, we'll get down here and whoa, here we go. Now we have this looks like one of those that probably that same or actually a different one. He said there was three, a different parallel borehole right next to this one. So we're actually intersecting that. So somebody is off a plumb here, either the one to the right of us or the one we're in. This one appears to be fairly straight, although sometimes your deviations can be a little subtle that you don't pick up, but but obviously they're running into each other. So we're this literally is threading the needle, running into another borehole like this. So fascinating stuff. Not something I don't think I've seen before. There may be people out there that have seen this, but definitely fascinating stuff as you get two boreholes that run into each other. And here we are down at the bottom. So there's an accumulation of sediment there at the bottom. So that's well video number one. Pretty interesting. Like I say, something you don't see every day is running into another borehole or two as you're drilling. So I think that got people by surprise, especially when you peek through the borehole wall. You got some rock spalls out, and lo and behold, there's casing behind it from a parallel boring. So that would. When you first see that, you go, "What the heck is that?" I mean, because it's not something you're necessarily expecting. Maybe if you were doing your homework like you should on these things, and before you do your well video, you should always do your homework and generally know what you're looking for down there, and kind of keeping your eyeballs peeled. Know how the well is constructed and what's going on in the area, the general geology you're looking at, and get an idea of that. But you can still be surprised. So so let's move on to the next video here. And these next two videos are really some cases of poorly drilled and constructed wells, and sometimes it's a little more subtle. What you do when you get in, you kind of look at the shadow from the camera light, and if it's if it's right in the middle, if it's a nice circle right in the middle, then that's going to be a relatively straight and undeformed hole. if the if the shadow is off kilter one way or the other, then you probably got some deviations going on. If it's misshapen, then the well itself is probably got some deformation to it. So that's just kind of how we look at these things. And so you'll see here, and sometimes you don't even need to consider the shadow and the camera. Sometimes it's really obvious that the things are really way off. So let's look at this.
The second and the third video was on the same property near Parys in the Free State. What happened there is the hydrogeologist lost his logger in the third video, and we were looking for it in the third video. Found that there was a rock blocking the way. Got all the way down to the bottom, and sure enough, the logger is down there. Yeah, the second one, I convinced the owner of the property to have a look at the other two holes as well, so 3 in total. So because the driller is notorious for doing really bad jobs and not being up to scratch, so I convinced him to have a look. And as you can see, the casing is deformed. There is equipment down in the hole. Yeah, this guy, he's just bad news. But anyways, it's a good thing we did look down the hole, because the guys that yield tested the holes were not sure why the equipment would not go down the holes. So I guess they found out.
And I think you can see this is it's pretty clear. You don't have to really look at or look at subtle nuances here to determine that this well is absolutely deformed. I mean, how you put in a well this bad is kind of beyond me, but I guess it can be done right here. But yeah, if you wonder why your equipment isn't going to go down the hole, well, you run the video down and you can certainly see why that's the case. So I'm just going to let this video run. We're going to run out of casing here. I think, yeah. So we'll let it run, and you can really see what really a bad well construction job really looks like. I mean, this is just a mess, and pretty much an unusable well. I would say you'd certainly have a cause to look for some compensation from the driller for a well this bad. I mean, how are you going to get a pump down here? I mean, this is awful. So not only is it totally deformed, but you don't have good joins here, so it's going to hang. Even if you manage to get your pump down, how are you going to get it back out? It's going to hang up on those lips there, and so this is really not a good deal at all. So you can see you got holes in here. I believe those holes are actually holes for lifting the casing into the well. Those probably should have been sealed up as well. Fortunately, there's no water coming through them, but that's another indication of a bad job here. Some of this looks like spiral welds in here, but clearly deformed. You can see how the shadow, what I was talking about earlier, is off kilter and deformed. So, but for the most part, you can just see, especially at the seams, how this thing is deformed and clearly a bad well. That would be completely unacceptable. And hopefully, when you guys have contracts for drilling wells, you have provisions in there for meeting certain standards of vertical and plumb. So here we have the end of the casing and moving into fractured bedrock. So it's open hole below this, and so really probably not for the most part too bad, but the cased part is just awful. So 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 you can still see it's a little off center here, but not as bad as the cased part. So so that's kind of what we're looking at here. So I'm gonna shut up for a minute and just let this video run down to the end, and you can really see where where some of the issues are. Um, like I say, down below, it's not too bad. It's a little deformed. Certainly not plumb, not straight and plumb. But there you go. I mean, here we have, what the heck is that? So something I don't. I looked at this video multiple times and I can't quite figure out what this is. It could be bacteria, but I didn't think a mat of bacteria on there. It could be something they dropped in the well, which is kind of what I think as they kind of push through it and kind of push it aside. It looks like it's something solid, so not typically what you get with bacteria. So I'd say it's something that got dropped in the well during construction, is just floating on the surface of the water. So sometimes it's hard to tell, but if it was a mat of bacteria growing on the surface of the water, then you would see it kind of break apart as you push through it, and that seemed to stay intact. So that's obviously probably something that just got dropped down the well. So and that happens a lot. We see a lot of things when you run these well videos. You go down to the bottom. There's usually all kinds of stuff down there. So it's kind of drop pipe, everything else at the bottom of these wells. So it's a lot of stuff get dropped down wells. Usually not worth it to try to retrieve it. So that's kind of what we see going on here. So um, some changes here. You got a little offset there is what it looks like. So I don't know exactly what happened there with the drilling, but there's certainly another problem with the drilling. So I think Dirk is right. This driller really has some issues. If I'd had him as a driller once, I probably would not hire him again. So pushing down through. And we'll check out and see what's happening down at the bottom here. So got a few more minutes of this video to go. So some fairly consistent lithologies here going down too. So I will note that some changes, some fractures in there, but mostly fairly competent and consistent. It appears to me. Some fracture in there, some falling out of the rock. So I'm not really seeing too much evidence of strong water inflow coming in. You'd see those particles moving around a lot. As it is, you're just kind of seeing the effect of the camera going down. But if there was a strong inflow of water, you may see some lateral movement of those particles. I'm not seeing a lot of that. Once again, if anybody's got any comments that they want to make on any of these videos, feel free to pop them in the chat. I put the links to pop on. If you want to make some comments, you can certainly do that. I'll bring you on as a guest on the fly, so you can maybe capture your comments that way, or just via chat is fine too. So here we are getting down towards the bottom, and here's your some spalling and some breakage down there, and here's some equipment down here. And I got to admit, Dirk is a fairly fearless camera operator, because he's pushing past things where a lot of camera operators would probably not go there for a concern with hanging up their equipment, and because the camera is fairly expensive, and coming back out of these things, sometimes you can push back, but sometimes coming back out, you can hang things up. So he's obviously got his camera set up to kind of protect him from that. But I got to admit, he's a lot more fearless with the camera than a lot of people, a lot of camera operators I've seen who would really hesitate to push through some of these things. And so we'll see on the next video. Kind of the same type of thing. So let's move on to the next video here, and Granted, they had some zones in there where they were hitting some fracture zones, and that's going to deflect your drill rig as well. But there's ways of dealing with that. Obviously, the driller was in a hurry to get things done, so he didn't do things right or as carefully as he could. So you definitely have some problems here. All right, let's move on to video 4.
The fourth video with the pump at the bottom is actually one I did many years ago. It was drilled with a cable tool rig. As you can see, it's deformed. It's got deviations all over the place. So yeah, just went down there to have a look for his pump, found it, and he decided it's not worth trying to get it out, since there's already recovery equipment down there, or what the makeshift equipment they had. And he just drilled another hole in the end.
So it's not often we get to see a well video of a of a cable tool hole in fractured bedrock. But here you go, and you can see certainly like Dirk says, is deviated all over the place, and that's kind of a function of some of the cable tool drilling. Um, but yeah, definitely some challenges in getting down here. Trying to get the pump down here would be a challenge in this hole. You're going to have to bounce it around and try to thread it down there. So it's definitely something that's a challenge here. So a difficult hole to deal with, and you can see probably why, as you watch this video, why he decided it was just better to give up and drill a new hole. Sometimes it's just better to do that. Do it with a modern drilling technique where you can really do it carefully and keep things straight and plumb, and you're going to have a lot better time of it in your final well. So you can see some of the effects of you're just not getting that smooth borehole wall that you would with a regular drilling equipment. And clearly, this looks a little bit more, maybe some metamorphic or sedimentary rocks. So it appears to be have some horizontal layering going to it, and that's making things a little blocky. You guys may have some other opinions here, but that's really what it looks like to me here. So the cable tool rig, it's going to bust things up, and they're going to pull things out probably in kind of, it's going to fracture off in blocks, and that's what's going to make some of the weird shapes here in this hole. So so kind of a function of the drilling method and the rock itself. So some combination thereof. And here we got down to the bottom of the hole, and there indeed is his pump at the bottom. And like Dirk said, this is he decided it was not worth trying to get down there and retrieve that pump out of there. It takes an effort. You got to get some tools out of there. You have to grab onto it and grapple it, and then thread your way back out. And it can take days of effort to try to pull something out like that out. And I can tell you that pump just didn't look like it was in good enough shape to spend all that money and time to try to recover it. So best to buy a new pump, drill a new hole, put a new pump in it, and you're off to the races trying to recover that. Okay, next up we got well video 5.
The last video I showed just what happens to mild steel casing down a hole. I'm one of those guys that I don't know a lot. I'm not very educated in this stuff, but I prefer they don't install mild steel equipment down a hole, because the result of that is this bacterial growth, like you said on your show, either iron related or manganese or whatever the case may be, but it's just bad news. The holes don't last long. The casing just breaks apart after a while. It caves in. All that. I don't have to tell you anything.
Yeah, and here's what's going on here is we are yeah. Yeah, I'm dizzy, right? He's circling around trying to look at things and avoid getting hung up here. But we can see these nodules. That this is actually a mild steel casing. These are all actually iron and bacteria growth. Let me pause this here a little bit because what you're seeing here is you're seeing corrosion in the well. And so what's happened is we've got a hole developed in the steel casing. Now, when this goes in the hole, this is going to be round and smooth steel pipe going in the hole. So you can see this is corroded. You're getting some bacteria, some biologically induced iron manganese nodules. This is probably mainly iron nodules developed in this well. Some corrosion going on, and clearly in this case, we've had corrosion that's pushed a hole all the way through the well casing, and this is actually water that's jetting into the hole from a hole in the casing. This has got not good news because now we have free fall water, cascading water going into the well. That's going to create turbulence, and so when you have the pump down the hole, it's going to make the pump work harder, wear the pump out faster, cost you more to get your water out. So besides the fact that we have corrosion going on in this cheap steel casing, we for comparison purposes, we generally recommend for most municipal wells that they use stainless steel and not the mild steel because this is what happens with mild steel, and it happens in South Africa, it happens in the U.S., anywhere in the world. You get physics and chemistry works the same way. You get corrosion, and this is a result of that. So let's continue on here. And you can see the water is just jetting in here. And now you got water falling down the well, and you have cascading water going on in the well. And this is not good. And once again, you see the corrosion and the growth and the nodules in here. And we'll get down to the water level here in just a little bit and see what happens below the water because it'll be a little bit different. But yeah, when you consider what this started out as just a smooth steel, mild steel casing, and now with all these, if you didn't know better, you'd say this was the fractured bedrock stuff we were looking at a little bit earlier. But this is actually steel casing. So down and down, down we go to the water level in the well. You can see this water's just falling down there, and because it's free falling so far, when it hits the surface of the water, as we get down to the static water level here, it's just going to create a lot of turbulence. And if you have the pump anywhere near that turbulent flow that's coming in is potentially going to cause cavitation and other issues that are going to wear out the pump. So cascading water is not a good thing. Corrosion holes in your casing is not a good thing. It means the casing is corroding and could fail in other places. So no, not red clay. This is actually iron nodules in developing. This is actually corrosion and iron nodules developing. And here we are at the static water level. So you can see the water is kind of turbulent at the surface. So there we go. And quick side view. And you can see really that a lot of this is there's probably a biogenic component to the iron nodules developing on there. So you can see it looks a little fuzzy. That's generally going to be an indication that you got bacteria that's actually taking the iron out of the water and corroding the steel and creating these iron nodules. So that's bacteria at work actually. And so that's what can happen. Mild steel, really the quality control is not there. The variations in different parts of the alloy create these electrochemical corrosion cells. So you got a lot of things going on. The bacteria will attack it as well, because sometimes there's manganese and phosphate in there that they need. And now we get down to an area where we're not getting that corrosion going on. So that's an example of what happens when you use poor quality materials. You try to save a buck and use the mild steel, which is actually a lot cheaper than the stainless steel, but you can see the results. Stainless steel would not develop as severe of corrosion issues. It's going to corrode lot slower. Probably not develop those issues. So that's why we tend to use, even though it's more expensive, tend to use stainless steel on most municipal type wells. So let's go down to our final video.
Hole number 6 was drilled on a remote property where there is no municipality services. So they are dependent on borehole water for their household and animals, and the sewage system is in the style of the old French drains. It's an open pit system, and some genius decided that this borehole should be drilled close to this sewage pit. Now the result is that the guy complained that his water tasted funny. Well, of course it will taste funny. The further you go down the hole, you can see the bacterial growth. It's actually disgusting. Yeah, and also the hole is not sealed on top. There's a lot of debris floating on the surface, as well as a dead animal. So I told him, next time your water tastes funny, call somebody else. It's not stuff that I deal with.
So little humor there, but as we go down, you can see the bacterial growth, and what's happening is obviously they're having some sewage leak in there. At least some of the nutrients from the sewage leaking, uh, yeah, leaking in there. So yeah, it's but as we go down, the sewage, or the nutrients from the sewage, is actually it's leaking into the well. It's providing a conducive environment for bacteria to feed on. So it's a food source for the bacteria. So we can see all this bacterial growth on the side of the well. You can see the well is cloudy. So a lot of that is probably free floating bacteria, planktonic bacteria. There's two, yeah, you can see that this is all bacteria growth here. So it forms little stringers. And if we had more of a microbiological expert on here, they could probably tell us exactly what this is, but in terms of bacteria. But certainly you can see it's a very conducive environment for bacterial growth in the well. And what happens is, even if you don't have sewage coming in there, you're going to get the bacterial load, and the cloudy water is probably, a lot of that is, like I say, the planktonic bacteria, the free floating bacteria, as opposed to the bacteria that's attached to the wall of the well, which is actually called sessile bacteria. So sessile means attached, and planktonic is free swimming. And so the cloudy water is from that planktonic bacteria. So as the bacterial load increases, you're going to see changes in the turbidity of the water. And of course, it's going to taste funny, because a high bacterial load is not only not healthy, but it's going to make the water taste funny. Yeah, you can see this is all bacterial growth in there, stringy bacteria growing on there, bacteria colonies. It looks like a little forest on the side there, and this is bad news all the way around. So certainly something you want to avoid, and putting a well right next to a sewage discharge is probably not a good idea, because it's going to find its way into your well, and you're going to have all kinds of problems. Even if you don't have E. coli issues, which is going to make you sick, you can see all the bacteria are benefiting from all the nutrients coming in there, and it's just like party time for the bacteria. The bacteria are going to come. They're going to invite all their friends. They're going to move in, build their bacteria condos, and so it is a big time environment for bacteria growth. So there you have it. That's our show for today, and I hope you found that interesting and instructive. And once again, big shout out to Dirk Ackerman, South African well video operator par excellence, and we appreciate Dirk providing these videos and the commentary. And like I say, if you haven't looked up Dirk on LinkedIn, check him out and connect with him. He's posting great well videos all the time. So with that, let's we stream every week, every Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 11 o'clock Central time, onto the Groundwater Guy YouTube channel, and also on LinkedIn to my profile. LinkedIn's a little funky. You got to go directly to my profile, which is listed here, and the live stream comes in there. You click up at the top of the profile, and that's where it comes in. And Talk Virtual, Erica. Thanks so much for dropping by. Erica is not a water person, but she's interested in it, and so she stopped by for some of the fun stuff and the stuff I look at every day. So I appreciate that. So anyway, check us out every week. And if you want to be a guest on Groundwater Talk Live, here's the link for that. You can book a talk on there if you have a topic of interest to the water community. Let's bring you on as a guest, and we can have some fun with that, and it'll be informative, and I'd enjoy having a chat with you online. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Groundwater Guy YouTube channel. We are on there every week. All the past videos are on there, so we got some informative stuff. So go back and look at our past stuff, and don't forget to subscribe. Get the word out there. If you're watching this on a recording, please like, share, comment. That all helps us get the word out. It helps us, the LinkedIn algorithm, get the word out to everybody, and we appreciate that as we grow our subscriber base and get people watching these videos. So with that, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Thank you very much for watching and watching the show and spending some time with us. You have a great Christmas and a great New Year's. We'll be back next week, probably with a short show in between Christmas and New Year's, but we'll certainly be here next week at our usual time. Thanks, everybody.